second place in the grid isn't any good to me. It's pole position that you need. You need those few metres closer to the first corner.
In the end, you have to count together, and it's 1/10. It means it's very close, and whoever gets it right will win the race.
It's race day at rural Manicourt in central France. The forecasters promised us storms and high winds. At the moment, we are set fair for the French Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome to the ITV studio. Looks beautiful around us at the moment, doesn't it? 27 degrees the air temperature, the track a sizzling 38 degrees, but things do change very quickly in these parts. On a big day for French sport, absolutely delighted to welcome Olivier Panis alongside Tony Jardine. Now Olivier, first 3 years of our coverage, we saw you racing, not this year though. Just explain what you've been doing this year.
Yeah, for me it's very important here because now I work for McLaren for the third driver. I know the decision is not really easy, but I'm really happy to work for McLaren Mercedes from test driver. For me, it's a good opportunity to drive the best car, and I work with the best team. And I work also with the two best drivers. I'm really, really happy. I know sometimes it's quite difficult when I don't make the race, and particularly here. But I'm sure for next year it's quite going well, seriously.
Okay, well here you are testing around here, and in testing last week I saw you finished third quickest. David Coulthard keeping an eye on you there, ahead of somebody called Michael Schumacher. That's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, no, it's quite very good, seriously. I'm very happy. We make very, very good job last test to prepare this Grand Prix with David and Mika. We have very good relationship. And yeah, I'm very quick here. I know very well the circuit, but seriously. But no, really, I'm very, very happy this job this year, seriously.
Excellent, Olivier. Tony, let's just take a look at the qualifying session, shall we? This fella might have beaten Michael Schumacher in testing last week, but when it came to qualifying, Schumacher on pole again.
2 stars, David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher. An incredible performance from Schumacher. And we talked about the cricket bat theory yesterday. This is what he does to his teammates. So Irvine said it last year. It's like being hit over the head by a cricket bat every weekend when you're racing against this guy, the same team. Barrichello had been on provisional pole. 25 minutes after the start of the session, out goes Michael Schumacher, a near perfect lap. And absolutely crunched Rubens Barrichello by 0.6 of a second. Amazing. And David Coulthard was to come back from that a little later on, but great performance from the Red Baron there.
We thought David Coulthard could have got pole here, but he had miserable luck and he actually had to go round in the spare, in Mika Häkkinen's spare.
He had to take to Mika's spare. Now, if this had happened, let's say 5-6 races ago, or even last year, he could have dropped back 2 rows, 3 rows, or whatever. But this is a different David Coulthard, a steely David Coulthard. And as you say, he had 2 runs in Mika Häkkinen's spare car. There was a fuel pump failure in his car. He goes out in his car. He ran deep. He had a little spin down at Adelaide, but he's running out of time now. He's against the clock. He knows he must get in a good practice effort, but he's already put it on the front row with the T car, which is an amazing performance. Now, when he goes out in his 4th run, he gets to within 1/10 of a second, just there past the checkered flag, to confirm the front row alongside Michael Schumacher. I think that's an absolutely sensational effort. He had very little track time. Olivier knows how bad that can be.
That's the first time that David has ever been on the front row here in France. But how about Mika Häkkinen? I mean, for so long we've regarded him as Senna-like almost in qualifying, always putting it on pole, but not recently.
I think there is a great attitude attitude difference between the two drivers, and Mika Hakkinen says he's a little bit more relaxed this year. He said maybe that's not such a good thing. This time last year he said I was feeling very tense indeed. He's dropped off a little bit, but he's saying that he was still not happy with the car, and Ron Dennis said afterwards that he couldn't get the right setup with the car. I don't know what Olivier.
What do you feel about the world champion Mika Hakkinen? Why has his game dropped recently?
Seriously, I'm very surprised because I worked with him last test. He's the quickest last test. Mika is very, very motivated. Seriously, I know he's still quiet, but he's really motivated. I don't know, for many reasons. He's not the name is not very lucky, but there's some little problem disturb him from this moment. But I'm sure he stays very motivated. Seriously.
You don't think he's lost his appetite for Grand Prix racing at all?
No. I think so. For him, he's very big appetite, and he's ready to the fighting with David and Michael. I'm sure. Seriously.
Right. Okay. Well, if you can make yourself heard above the jet going by outside,
Well, his team is one of the French Mirage.
The French Mirage 2000, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
So noisy, these French.
Yeah.
So noisy. All right, Tony, take us through the grid.
Yeah, well, Michael Schumacher there with his third consecutive pole position, 27th, his record now. David Coulthard, he doesn't need to stall today, no mistakes from him. Barrichello just pipped Hakkinen 0.003 of a second, a great job from him. Ralph back in the frame there, very pleased. Eddie Irvine says that Jaguar very, very focused this weekend. Villeneuve benefiting from revised aerodynamics. Frentzen and Trulli missing their slots, but Button in the top 10, and he needs a good result today. He's back on track. Herbert problems with the balance. Salo very good in the closing minutes of practice as the temperature dropped. Della Rosa stayed in the top 10. Fisichella very bad, no grip whatsoever, down in 14th. Deniz, Heidfeld, who's been criticised by Alain Prost. Wirtz, then a lazy who had to be cajoled to get back into the car. He thought it was rubbish, he didn't want to drive it. Zonta had an edging problem early on. Verstappen said there was so much wrong with his car, he didn't know what to change. Janae and Mazzacani.
Thank you, Tony. That's the fella making all the noise. 2000 Mirage, the French Air Force, but absolutely spectacular display we have had from him throughout the weekend. Well, they had a real upside-down grid here last year. Rubens Barrichello put the steward on pole for the first time after a saturated qualifying session in the race itself. The heavens opened just about a third of the way through, and Heinz Harald Frentzen triumphed in the Jordan.
Yes! Good start by Barrichello. David Coulthard goes up into third place, so already he has made a position. Look at that rain cloud. Look at that rain cloud on the left.
Oh, it's a bit late, David, but he's made it.
And David Coulthard looks as though he's out of the race.
What has Coulthard got to do? Oh, and Lacey braking as late as he did.
Oh.
And they've both gone wide. Hakkinen and Lacey braking absolutely on the limit. Look at the rain. They'll be in this lap for sure for wet tyres.
Just look at what it's like now. You're looking at the Lacey.
He's spun. Lacey's spun.
Off goes Sean Lacey. Right up behind Rubens Barrichello.
Oh, he's going to spin. He caught the white line on the inside.
Through goes Schumacher.
You can see in the pit lane they're getting another steering wheel ready for what must be Michael Schumacher's pit stop. Oh look, that's a problem for Frentzen. He can't get the thing to change down. Look, he's stuck in a higher gear.
This is going to change the race. Mika Hakkinen making his last pit stop. He's on lap 66. He was 15 seconds ahead of Rubens Barrichello, and here's Frentzen getting out of the pits in front of Hakkinen.
Because Barrichello's in the pits too, so Frentzen now leads the race.
And John and Heinz Harald Frentzen win in France. Magnificent.
Great day for Heinz Harald there, wasn't it? But you had a pretty good weekend. You were third on the grid. I remember you ran fourth for quite a while, but you finished 8th here last year, wasn't it?
Yes, I'm finished 8th because we plan for the two-stop strategy, and we start with, and it's not really good idea for the good result. But seriously, it's a really good weekend for us last year. Third on the grid, and okay, we don't mark the point, but we stay very competitive during the weekend. Seriously.
It's dry at the moment, Olivier, but just tell us, what is this place like in the wet?
Yeah, this place is quite good because the level de grip the track is very good, and the wet condition also is. I know the wet condition is not easy, but seriously, it's good circuit in the wet condition because the flow, the water flow is quite not too big, and no, it's really good. Seriously, it's good circuit and the wet condition. All the time it's not easy for the vision situation, but seriously, it's quite very good.
Yeah, I understand the forecast is it's going to stay dry for the race, and I would think the drivers are going to be very happy about that. But just on a personal thing from your point of view, I mean, you won in Monaco, one of the great races. You see yourself there doing the business around a Grand Prix circuit. You must want to get back in as a driver.
For next time.
For next year.
For next year, I'm sure. Seriously, I like my job this year. It's so good. Seriously, again. But I'm a racing driver, and I would like to come back next year. We prepare this with Keke Roberts management. We prepare this for next year. But I'm seriously, I'm very optimistic.
Where are you going? Come on, tell us.
There's no one out there really. Don't worry, it's just us three.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell about this seriously for this moment, and I have big respect for McLaren Mercedes because when you're given this opportunity, it's quite very good. I wait for this. Sorry.
We wait too. We wait too.
Thank you.
Right, let me just remind you how things stand then, going into the ninth race of the season. 5 wins for Michael Schumacher, 22 points clear. It's now David Coulthard. You know, McLaren haven't won in France since Alain Prost triumphed back in 1989. Hakkinen third in 98, second last year. Barrichello will be starting just ahead of Ralf Schumacher. Fisichella, though, with plenty to do from 14th on the grid. And Ferrari very confident of celebrating the first major Italian success of the day. Michael Schumacher's won here 4 times. They're the most successful constructor at this Grand Prix by some distance as well. Keep an eye though on that scrap for third place involving Benetton, Williams and Jordan. Well, Alain Prost and the home team nowhere to be seen because sadly for them, the very experienced John Alesi and the German rookie Nick Heidfeld have failed to score a single point, starting from 14th and 15th on the grid. The situation unlikely to improve today. Here's James Allen talking to Alain Prost.
You were always a very tough, hard guy when you were a racing driver. You had to be, you were at the front, you were racing against Senna. Being a team owner, you obviously have to be very tough as well. Are there different disciplines, though, that you have to kind of take on board now in your current role?
Yeah, I think it's very different. I don't know how I can describe that, but when you're a racing driver, you are fighting against individuals. You're fighting against teams, but you also have the choice to change team almost after year. You decide where to go, and but the fighting against individuals is really the big difference. When you're a team owner, you're really fighting against a lot of things. I mean, almost never individuals.
I saw in the French papers you were talking about you feel a lack of support, which obviously when you're a driver you need the support around you. You're obviously feeling that right now as a team owner from your partners. What exactly do you mean by a lack of support?
There's a huge support from the fans, huge support from some friends, but obviously it's not good to be in France with the French being 100% French team engine and chassis. It's becoming too difficult, too political, and it makes the things even more difficult than it should be. So that's what I mean by lack of support.
Now, you always used to say that British teams have that discipline. McLaren, Williams, you drove for. You always preferred to race for a British team. Do you need to anglicise your team in order to be successful?
No, I think you need. I don't think it's the way to go. We have English people, and we are very pleased with English people, and we can bring maybe more in the future. But that would not be the good to say that we need to have 200 and 300 English people in France, because also maybe that does not work. The culture and the mentality is a little bit different. We need to have more discipline, and we need to work more into the details.
Obviously, we've seen the big change this year in Formula One. Has been BMW, Jaguar. Now Honda have got 2 works teams with the Jordan team as well. It's clear you've got to have the big manufacturer to make the big push. If you don't get it, will you just get out of this?
I have to ask the question myself. Say, why do I am here? Obviously, that's a question for sure I should ask. If it's only for, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, struggling a little bit more and then get the good thing, okay, why not? If I know that this is nowhere, then I should ask the question myself, obviously. But at the moment, it's not the question.
Olivier, he looks a very worried man, a man under pressure there, Alain Prost. Why do you feel your old team, first Ligier and then Prost, hasn't done at all well this season?
Yeah, it's difficult for me because now it's little far away, but seriously, I'm very disappointed for this team because I pass really good memory in this team. Really bad also, seriously. But I like this team. It's very good team, but it's very young, seriously. And my personal point of view is very important to improve all the time the same people and to improve the car also. But I think so the team, it don't have some experience to try the new car all here, seriously, because it's quite very young. And after that, the political problem with Peugeot, I don't know exactly why. I don't understand very well. But for me, Peugeot make a good job also. It's difficult to tell about this, seriously.
Tony, a quick sum from you, why Prost aren't delivering?
Well, they need a vision. They need the long-term plan, which Alain is working on. But it's really, there is just something missing. Also, he has to make more of the transition from the driver to the team management. He hasn't made that transition and fully unlocked the door yet.
Okay, well, that Prost and the rest facing 72 laps of the 2.6 mile Manicourt circuit, super smooth, very narrow as well. Here's Martin Brundle to talk you around with a fella who's put his Jaguar on the third row of the grid.
Let's join Irvine in the Jaguar for one of his qualifying laps. Calmly through the last corner, you've cut the timing being now and bring the car over to the right-hand side for the short pit straight. There's a wall, be careful on the right. Now sweep through Grand de Curb at 170 miles an hour. Still accelerating into Estoril. Come down 3 gears. Feel the grip through the front tyres. As soon as you know you can turn, get back on the throttle and now take as straight a line as you can through Gulf, down the back straight up to 190 miles an hour. Look for the marker boards on the left. At 110 metres he brakes and it goes eerily quiet. A bit of tyre rubber up there on the TV screen, but Irvine no problems, accelerating hard out of Adelaide hairpin up towards Nürburgring chicane, 175 miles an hour. Now watch him correct the car through there, tremendous direction change into the 180-degree corner. Stay inside, the front tyres are sliding away from the apex. No problem for maximum throttle through this little right-hander. You're on your way to 175 miles an hour and the Imola chicane, but it's blind. You'll never be doing less than 130 through here. He clips the curb as normal, heading into Chateau d'Eau. But he's locked the rear tyres. He runs wide, he collects the car up and manages to get it back in on the curb. Heading downhill now, building up to 160 miles an hour into the last chicane. Just 75 on the way through. Accelerate to 85 and immediately back down to 45. It's very slow and clumsy, and there he is over the line. He's got to improve that Chateau d'Eau approach.
Thank you, Martin. Now, this really is a massive sporting weekend for La France. Cycling's Tour de France has just started. We're here with 25 minutes to go to the start of the Grand Prix. And this evening, the French footballers, the world champions, of course, take on Italy in the final of Euro 2000. Already at the De Kuip Stadium in Rotterdam are Ali McCoist and Ron Atkinson. Now, Ron, you fancy the French, don't you? But they've got to beat a very, very good Italian goalkeeper if they're going to win tonight.
I don't want to change my shirt.
Well, Ron, perhaps with a bit of let's see if we have a bit better luck, shall we, with Ali McCoist. Ali, let's have a word with you, shall we, about France and perhaps about Zinedine Zidane. No, we can't. Well, I'll tell you what. Olivier, you can talk to me, I know that, and you're a big football fan as well. We won't worry too much about the two in Rotterdam. We'll try and make contact to them. But you must be supporting Italy, surely.
No.
Really?
No. No, seriously, I like the football player, seriously. I like this. But yeah, tonight is a very big match, I think so, seriously, because the Italy is really big defense. But I'm very confident with Zidane and all the player of France is quite very good. It's a very good team in this moment. I suppose, and I push he win tonight.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult to beat those Italians, you know, almost as hard as the Ferraris here today.
Yeah, for me today is quite difficult. You know, I work for McLaren, fighting with Ferrari, and I hope McLaren win. And tonight again for the football match, the same things. But I push a lot the French team seriously.
Good. Okay, and of course there is full ITV coverage of Euro 2000 tonight, starting with Des Lynam and friends at 6 o'clock, and the match starting at 7. Join Clive Tilsley, and you will be able to hear Ron Atkinson co-commentating for that one, I can assure you. OK, when you rejoin us, we will continue counting down towards the start of the French Grand Prix here at Manicourt. Ali McCoist alongside Des Lynam and Terry Venables from 6 o'clock, and Ron Atkinson with commentator Clive Tilsley for the final of Euro 2000 at 7. And you are very sure that La France will triumph tonight?
Yeah, I think so.
You look it as well.
Thank you.
Well, now then, the communications industry races on, although judging by our little experience there, we've still got a bit of catching up to do, never mind about that. But down on that pit wall, we've noticed rival teams that no longer shout in each other's ears when they want to make a point. It's got a lot more sophisticated than that these days, as Louise Goodman reports.
The flow of information has been speeded up in the pit lane this year with the introduction of a new interactive communication system.
The email system that allows everything to speak and to send information between us, and also to speak directly with the race control and with the technical information system. So basically, if I need to speak with Charlie White, this is our race director, it's quite easy to do it, because I go into the system, race director, this is quite easy. I mean, then you send the message and you wait for his reply.
We are generally using it if you're coming up to slower cars, and asking there to be a blue flag, to say, can you blue flag this car? We think we'll be approaching it in 5 or 6 seconds or 2 laps time. We may also be given information like, our driver is saying, I think there's oil at turn 2, and we're saying to Charlie, Jensen or Ralph has said there's oil at turn 2, please can you check? And he will come back and say, we've checked with the marshals, we don't think so, or yes there is, and we've now put an oil flag out.
You know that up to maybe last year we used to walk to see Charlie if we had some doubts or just making some query regarding the spoil regulation. Now it's easy because you just don't move, just press the button and he will answer to you straight away. So you save time, you save miles to walk, and that's good. I mean, and also we can use the system also to speak between teams instead of going there. If we need to clarify something or we need to discuss something, we just use the email system. That's good.
We've then got a second part, which is basically a live system running during practice, where we can look at sector times, corner section times or straight sector times at any point on the circuit, usually 22, 23 segments, which we can select at any time during the practice session.
We have the track, as you can see here. We can check between different loops of the timing, which is our timing and which is the timing of other cars that we can select.
And the third sort of breakdown of the system have actually given us results at the end of those sessions of a very quick service by which we can look at our cars and everybody else's cars' results from that session.
Before this weekend, the results were distributed on paper, 11,000 sheets of paper, but now all that data is available at the touch of a button.
Now we have our own technical whiz kids. We're launching a mobile messaging service on the ITV F1 website. You can keep in touch with everything that happens on a Grand Prix weekend through your mobile phone, and full details on the website www.itv-f1.com. OK, coming to you now, loud and clear. It's Kevin Piper with the latest news, including the very latest on the future of the British Grand Prix.
And when the fifth one goes out, Silverstone will be go!
And possibly gone, of course. The threat to Silverstone as the home of the British Grand Prix remains. A move to Brands Hatch looming in 2002. But the leading British teams have joined the fight to keep the race at Silverstone, claiming Brands just isn't suitable.
And at Silverstone we've got almost unlimited testing, etc., and it's very safe. And at Brands then there'll be severe restrictions in the amount of times you could test there and so forth. So, you know, we've stated that, so simple as that.
Brands Hatch was a great racetrack, and I should say that one of the best Grand Prix I ever watched was Mansell versus Piquet in '86. But it is a little obsolete in size, I think. We need much longer straights for overtaking, etc.
Meanwhile, the provisional calendar for 2001 sees the British Grand Prix penciled in for the middle of May. Will the Colombian Juan Pablo Montoya be a Williams driver by then? Very possibly, if he's allowed to leave America. If he's not, it could be very good news for Britain's Jenson Button.
hopefully I'll be here with Williams. I mean, this year's been a good year so far. Only halfway through the year, it's going to be very difficult to make a decision, I think, for Frank. But hopefully I'll be here. We've got a good relationship, and I think we can have a good year next year. I mean, I'll learn all the circuits this year and come out fresh next year and get some good results, hopefully.
Let's have a final word with Olivier Panis. Let's talk about the French Grand Prix. Do you think that McLaren are going to win here at last?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, seriously, because last test we make a very, very strong job. We make a very, very long run to see what's happening, the wear, the tires and the degradation, everything. And the car is really, really consistent. David is, last test also is so strong. He worked very strong for this Grand Prix. Mika's this morning after the warm-up is so happy. Now, yeah, it's quicker time, and now we see this afternoon what's happened. But I think so is very big fighting again with Michael.
There will be very big fighting with Michael. I don't think it's going to rain, which is good news.
Yeah, I think so for us, yes. But also now the McLaren team work very, very strong in the wet condition. The car is quite very, very drivable and it's quick in the wet. After that, it's very important to maybe a little more lucky to compare with Canada Grand Prix.
Sure. Olivier, we hope to see you back in a Grand Prix car very soon indeed. Well, racing in a Grand Prix car. Yeah, thanks very much indeed for joining us. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to France tonight as well. Okay, let's go to Ireland's Eddie Irvine, shall we?
Eddie, great qualifying performance. Is this a better example of where the car can and should be?
This is where the car can be whenever there's more downforce needed for the circuit. You know, low downforce we're struggling, high downforce we're obviously not. I think this weekend we've learned some things that will help us for future races. Whether we can fix it now, you know, quick or not, I don't know, but I think we've learned something. So we need to see what happens after this.
Immediately, of course, you want to translate that into a good start. After your problems in Canada, what about the clutch? Is that likely to give you a problem?
No idea.
Have a good one.
This is as good as mine.
And here we are, one or two facts and figures that will enhance your enjoyment of this afternoon's race. Michael Schumacher needing just one more win to equal Senna's career total of 41. Prost, the all-time record holder, with 51. Brilliant record here, Michael Schumacher. He's won the French Grand Prix 4 times out of the last 6 years. McLaren with that miserable record stretching back over the last 10 years. French Grand Prix pole position drivers, though, have only won 3 of the last 10 races here. Manicourt here is normally a two-stopper. Don't forget that Heinz Harold Frentzen won on the back of an inspired one-stop strategy in the rain last year. Your Grand Prix commentator, James Allen, has this.
OK, folks, so you're the McLaren team. If you don't get a 1-2 finish today, Michael Schumacher is virtually over the hill and far away. So how are you going to stop him? Well, strategy is notoriously hard to predict here at Manicourt. In fact, it's probably the most difficult of the whole season. It's a two-stop race, but how long the 3 stints should be, that's very hard to tell. The track is very hard on the tyres, and you have to monitor that throughout the course of the whole race. The race we won and lost at the end of the second stint, going into the second pit stops, so watch out for that. One ace that Michael Schumacher has up his sleeve, he's the only driver who's kept 3 new sets of tyres.
Thank you, James. Well, those Benetton and Alexander Wurz, I mean, he's had a tough season, and he's got a lot to do, Tony.
They've both got a lot to do. Fisichella's down in 14th place. Flavio Briatore, the boss of the Benetton team, said, I thought it'd be bad, but I didn't think our performance would be that bad at this circuit. And there's Villeneuve. He's benefited from the new aerodynamics, going a lot better in 7th place on the grid. They're a bit happier. They're not happy, of course, because Jordan have got the same engines as them for next year.
And so say all of us. What's the rarest item, do you think, in Formula One? Here is my suggestion. It is a sick note from Murray. He hasn't missed a racing assignment since the black and white days when Clem Attlee was Prime Minister back in 1949. Young Tony Jardine developing his sweet tooth thanks to the end of post-war rationing. Prince Charles, aged 8 months, was already very much in the public eye. Wind the clock forward now to last weekend's Festival of Speed at Goodwood. Murray in the leathers on his dad's Rudge. Since then he dislocated his hip. The physio who told him he couldn't travel here must be a very forceful personality, and Murray assures us he will be back in Austria in a couple of weeks' time, and we will be talking to him after the race. Young Ralph Schumacher is going to be James Allen, though, alongside Martin Brundle for the French Grand Prix.